Hello everybody, it's the 19th of March today, and if you saw my recent video, Tour of the Benches Part 1, you'll know that I said I was going to make a decision of which of these two English elms I was going to put into this new blue pot that I had for Christmas, and I've made the decision. It's going to be this one on the right. This one hasn't responded as well since being collected, and I think could probably do with another year in this pot, gaining some strength and vigour. I may take some of the soil off the surface and add some compost and top dress it and let it just grow on for another year. It's got some character, but it's not looking as healthy as this one. Parts of it look black. The bark looks black, and I thought it was dead, but the thumbnail test tells me it's not. This one, the buds are actually bursting. I mean, I looked at it yesterday and they were swelling like so. The buds just yesterday all over were, still swelling but still quite tight. And they're now actually beginning to pop open, so it's high time this went into a tree. Whereas this one, they are just beginning to swell in a few places, so yeah, need some more TLC rather than get pulled out of the pot and worked on. Before we get started, I did record a piece of video at the end of last summer on this tree, which I will insert for you here, and you can watch that before I start on work on these. Okay, as you can see, this piece that I allowed to grow out helped thicken the base. It's actually taken over quite strongly. This is Cooper, who thinks I should play with his toy shark. Anyway, so as I was saying, this piece has grown out really well. The wires started to cut in, and unfortunately it's done so at the expense of growth in this area, so this bit hasn't grown as well. So, excuse me while I just wrestle with the nutty dog. What do you like, nutty dog? Nutty as a fruit bat. Anyway, distracted by the aeroplane noise. So, I'm going to remove a big section of this in order to try and get some of the vigour back into this section of the tree. And I'm simply going to cut it off just there. I still think I'd like to keep this section as part of the crown, although it's quite high up on the trunk. I still quite like it, but hopefully now that that's been cut back some, that'll allow this part of the tree to respond with a bit of vigour. We shall see. Okay, so not sure what that little bit of video taught you, other than that Coop has a love-hate relationship with his toy shark, but let's get on with this, shall we? First of all, I'm going to remove these wires that have been on there, and we'll see. I'm hoping the tree is set. There is a little bit of a wire mark on the branch there, so they need to come off. I'm still in two minds about whether I keep this as a sacrifice branch or whether it becomes part of the eventual crown. It's quite high up on the trunk. So it's, yeah, can I or can I get away with that? I'm actually thinking probably no is the answer. And I'm wondering whether I bite the bullet and prune it off here. There is a bud popping just here, which will help close this wound and can act as a further sacrifice branch to thicken this section of trunk, and just have the broom head here. Let's get it out of the pot, clean up the roots a little bit. I'm not going to fully work the roots, I don't think, because the buds have already popped. But I'm just going to clean it up some, particularly this top, so I can see what the nibari is like. I'm sure I told the tale of how I got these. These were simply suckers that had rooted from the hedgerow, rooted into the gravel on the side of the road, and I was actually able to just sort of pluck them out almost with a finger and thumb. I thought I'd take a quick picture, or a quick video whilst I'm actually here. Here is where, as you can see, the elms are suckering all the way down the bank, and when this road was gritted, there was a thick layer of grit here, and I was able to just pull some of these trees out. And these probably would come out without too much hassle. I pulled them out quite small, stuck them in a dog poo bag to prevent the roots drying out, and what's your uncle? Because it was literally just gravel and mud, you know, the sort of grit they put when they grit the roads, and they do that awful job where they just chuck it everywhere, and you have those 20-mile-an-hour signs for, well, they just get left there till they fall over, it feels. So you can see where, as the sucker came in and out again from the root, and I just had to sever it with my penknife. It's not a brilliant nibari, but it has some saving graces. I'm not going to completely bare root this tree to check entirely how it looks, but we do have some radial rooting, which is good, and mostly from the back, a little to the front, but that's okay because you don't want roots sticking out at the front, so I can work that around. That'll work quite nicely. I think I want to take off that piece that's sticking up. Otherwise, they're not too shabby. Maybe next year I can get it out of the pot, or the year after, and do some more work. But for now, I'm happy with that, and I think it'll fit in the pot. So I haven't even really got any roundy round roots circling the pot to worry about to a great degree. So I'm just going to snip off some of these a bit flush, but there's no major root work required. That was just the luck of it sitting in that thin layer of gravel, I suppose. Okay, and no sign of any vine weevil, which is a huge relief, as always. Right, okay, so that's that. That's literally all the work I'm going to do. Just expose some of those roots a little more. They all have some potential, and I should probably bury it a little deep this year and then raise it up as subsequent repottings. Okay, so my pot's all prepared with drainage screens and ready to go. So the tree's going to fit in it quite nicely. I think I would like it to be fairly central in the pot if I remove this. If I keep this, then the tree needs to come over to the left hand side a little more. I really am in two minds, but has this funny swelling. No, I think I'm going to leave it. Let's do that without any further ado, before I change my mind, because you know I might. Oops. Try and get in there in a better angle. I want to keep that bud if I can. Okay, needs to tidy that up a little without taking the bud off. No, I've lost the no, lost the bud. Never mind. It was a good idea whilst it lasted. We can't have everything, I suppose. There we go. Okay, that's cleared up that quite nicely. Take those bits of bark out and we'll go back to the repotting. It now looks a little bit weak on this side, but we have a bud just here. These two pieces are too close together, and I'm going to take the higher one out and let that one sweep up that way. There's a bud here that will pop to the left if I take out this forward facing piece. Yeah, that's good. Okay, I'm happy with that. It would be nice if we got a little bit more budding in this sort of area, but yeah, there's no guarantees. I may put another piece of wire and bring that round, help fill in this quadrant. But let's get the tree potted up first. There we go. As I say, in subsequent years we can raise the tree up a little bit to expose those roots a little better. Some of those very thin roots that are there at the moment that just sat very nicely into place where I wanted them without any fuss will gradually thicken up over the next couple of years, and by the time we get to a repot on this tree, hopefully we'll have a reasonable looking nabari. Now I'm going to trim a little off, a little more off, just because I took a little off the roots, so I'm not going to take a huge amount off the top, but just for the sake of balance I'm going to trim that back just to that bud, and I'm going to take out this piece from the very middle that's kind of not doing anything constructive, and I'm going to try and, as I say, wire that piece to be more in this direction to fill out that quadrant. So let's just reuse one of these pieces of wire I just took off. Anchor it around the trunk. It's not going to take a lot of wire to just move that over. It's already got some interesting movement, so all I'm going to be doing is just a little bit of wire just to persuade that nice piece of movement to do its nice piece of movement that way, and that will then, as I say, help fill in this quadrant a little better. Okay, so up on the turntable, I know again the pot is a little big perhaps, but in this case it's just a kind of training pot. For example, no one objects to a training pot being too big. There's kind of this feeling that you shouldn't put a tree into a bonsai pot that's too big, but actually the pot's got to be somewhere. Hanging about under a bench, it's liable to get smashed, at least when it's out where I can see it and it's doing something. It's not going to get broken accidentally, fingers crossed, and also it'll then perform as a large training pot would, and that'll give this tree ample time and room to develop some roots to power this top. Before I give you a 360, I'm just going to shorten that back to there. I don't like that piece coming too far towards us. This is obviously the front, and we'll give you a 360. There we go, back to the front again. Okay, so we'll have a quick look at the other one next, and then that'll be it for this video. I actually think with this tree, this is probably the better front at the moment, and obviously we have to wait and see how it develops. The top has definitely gone a bit black. The bark has gone almost a black in places, but as I said, you can scrape it away with the fingernail and it's still green underneath, so I don't know quite what that's all about. It's also much more behind the other one in terms of pushing out new growth, but it does have a nice little nabari with some nice little roots. So I think what I'm just going to do is just scrape away some of the top layer of this, add in some slow release or continuous. No, I do keep getting that wrong. My brain knows what I'm supposed to be saying, but the mouth doesn't say it. Some controlled release pathway, not slow release and not continuous release. They are different entities entirely. Hopefully that'll feed this tree up and give it some oomph for next year. And then maybe next year, who knows, Father Christmas might be kind enough to give me a pot for this one to go in. Are you listening, Father Christmas? Maybe Father Christmas watches YouTube videos. Who knows? He's got to do something the other 365 days of the year when he's not working, eh? So there we go, and that's about it. Trying to do a quick 360 without the turntable. And as I say, I think eventually this could be the front, but we will see. I'm just going to nip off the growing tips. And again, I can see green where I've trimming, so that's a good sign that things are healthy despite the bark coloration. clearly see a dead piece there. That's got to go. But as these trees didn't cost me but a penny, never a good value for money. Okay, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please, please, please do take care of yourselves. Stay safe.